All right. First item of business is roll call. Commissioner Redmond is myself. I'm here. Commissioner Paltzer?
Here.
Commissioner Okeson?
Yep.
Commissioner Miller?
Yep.
Commissioner Gould is on leave. Commissioner Buttleman is currently absent. Okay. Next item is approval of the agenda. Would anybody entertain moving approval of the agenda?
Sure.
Awesome. We have a motion to approve. Any second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have an agenda. All right. Next item is approval of minutes from the August 19th NRC committee. That just threw me for a second. It was 2 months ago, wasn't it? Yeah. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay. Hopefully you've all had a chance to review from our distant memory 2 months ago. Is there anybody that would like to make a motion to approve the minutes or any corrections to offer?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second for the approval?
I'll second.
Okay. One last time for any edits or corrections? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have meeting minutes. All right. New business. First item, results of the 2018 Food Waste and Organic Recycling Experiment. Sounds very sciencey and awesome. Sean, do you want to take that away?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. So tonight, we are going to do a deep dive into organics, everything organics on our agenda. I know, whoop, whoop. So the first item is the results of the 2018 Food Waste and Organic Recycling Experiment. So I wanted to introduce this, give you a summary of the results, which were included in your staff report, a very thorough results by the University of Minnesota, and then introduce Romac Franklin of Republic Services, who assisted in the project as well. So for an introduction, the Food Waste and Organic Recycling Experiment was conducted in collaboration with the University of Minnesota, Ramsey County, City of Maplewood, and Republic Services. Of course, Republic Services is the city's contracted trash hauler. So during this experiment, a total of 121 Maplewood households participated in the pilot project over the course of 6 weeks, beginning in September 2018. The objective of the study was to examine households' food waste generation and discarding behaviors, and of course, monitor that and offer recommendations for our future curbside organics collection program. The households were separated into 3 study group areas with different amounts and types of information supplied on food waste and organics recycling. Food waste was collected in organic bags and placed in their trash cart for collection. Those trash carts were then brought to the University of Minnesota for sorting by staff. And the results of this study by Vanny Doseruth, who is a PhD candidate at the University of Minnesota, are outlined here on the screen. And first of all, she was recommending strong feedback system to encourage careful source separation. And an example of that would be energy usage feedback that households receive comparing their usage to similar neighbors or neighborhoods. I know you received that with your XL energy bill, and she is suggesting that that will help promote, that source separation of the organics and kind of encourage people to do so, seeing that their neighbors are doing it as well. Manufacturers should be encouraged to minimize packaging, make them compostable, or have packaging be easier to separate from food. Of course, that's something kind of big picture, not really in our preview as far as rolling out an organics curbside program, but clearly something the city should have an eye on as we create our policies. Strong interest of study participants to have access to curbside organics recycling. So what she's saying here is that the county and the city should work together to pilot curbside collection programs in this area in particular. Now, they called this an experiment. It was only 6 weeks long. And we'll get into future organics collection and when the county will have the infrastructure in place for the city to do such a program citywide. However, there may be some opportunity to do pilot projects, and particularly in this area, they found that the results of the study, people were really interested and wanted to participate in such a program. Raise awareness towards the environmental, social, economic, and public health benefits of reducing food waste at home. So really showing the benefits rather than just, reducing your food. Let's see, how was that written? Let me, because I don't think I'm capturing the full intent of that. Since participants showed a relatively lower level of interest in food waste reduction activities, the county and city may find value in working together to raise awareness towards the environmental, social, economic, and public health benefits of reducing food waste at home. Okay, I see. So in the survey, they found that they had a lower level of interest in the actual food waste reduction activities. But if you show them the big picture, you might have better participation. Consider the effect on food waste reduction when organics curbside collection programs are available. So in addition to source separating your organics, just attempting to reduce the food waste altogether, like finding ways to freeze and reuse, things of that nature. Targeted awareness on households with children. They found a lot of excess food waste, particularly with children in the home. Co-collection is more straightforward and more convenient than other forms of organics separation. So this co-collection was where they captured it, they placed the food waste in an organics bag, and then that organics bag was placed in the trash cart. So rather than having a separate cart, they found it was more convenient. Explore alternative ways to encourage proper source separation, central source separation of materials on behalf of households. Now this again is another big pie in the sky idea of finding ways to separate the organics, after it's placed in the trash. So these were the general recommendations from the experiment. And I did speak to Vani and her assistant, and I apologize, I don't think I have her name here, but they both agreed that there's a lot more information to gather from this data. I mean, you can see it's quite extensive, what they had put together. And they had offered to come again before the commission. Unfortunately, they were unavailable at this time, but there's a lot to glean from this data that's just not outlined in these bullet points here. So with that, I wanted to introduce again Romac Franklin and have him speak to Republic Services' experience with this experiment.
Yes, members of council, commission, council. Romac Franklin with Republic Services. Thank you very much for having me here this evening. Had an opportunity to be able to work with Vanny on the experiment pilot program. It was a wonderful experience, Republic Services. We actually had an opportunity to run our trucks down the streets, collect, and then take over to they were over at the U of M, and they actually had tables set up throughout the place where they were going through and sorting. And so it was very interesting for us to drop off and to be able to see and be a part of something like that. So we're really excited and looking forward to what the next steps have to offer, not only for the project, for the pilot project or experiment, but for the city of Maplewood to see what happens. I know we're looking, in our contract we have where we're going to look at 2022, look at a possibility of being able to do some kind of a project here or experiment here in Maplewood. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I have one question to start off. I think it would be useful to, if you can, define or explain what source separation means exactly in this instance.
So we didn't do it, but my understanding of source separate is that they actually take it in at the source. So they did it a couple of different ways. But it would be, for example, I'm trying to think of an easy way to explain it to you. Putting it in the garbage can, having its own separate biodegradable bag.
Okay.
Is that a good way to explain it, Sean?
Thank you, Romac. I think, in addition, source separation just generally means separating it prior to getting in the trash. So you source separate your recycling from your trash, you source separate your organics from your trash. It's just,
It's,
Yeah, the term source seems almost repetitive at that point, but, okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it does kind of go opposite of recycling, that, we just dump it all in together, and then it's sorted at the facility versus we sort it so that it's always separate
Yeah.
as it goes
Although
through the
it's
system.
Similar in that we're separating recycling from trash. That's what
Correct.
we're trying to do here, is separate organics from trash or recycling, right? Yes. So similar, kind of.
Yeah, but different than when we started recycling, and you had to have like your cans were separate from the paper, were separate from the, so.
I'm glad those days are done.
yes.
Any other questions? I have one question, and this might be something that no one here can answer, and perhaps something that we just send a note to, is it Vanny? I'm interested in more information that she can provide for her second box finding, talking about encouraging manufacturers to minimize packaging. I'm wondering if there was any discussion about, like, who'd you target? Is if grocery stores, fast food, restaurants, or if there's any advice there. Because clearly, we don't have any control over manufacturers unless the city really wants to get into some really inventive policies and ordinances, which some cities do. But I could see perhaps a multi-city conversation with other commissions to see if maybe we target Cub Foods or something, for instance, that work with them to reduce. So I'd be interested to know if there's any more information on that. I don't know if you know, Sean, but if not, maybe we can ask her.
so yes, I will summarize this for Vanny and her assistant, and hopefully they can come back and give us a more thorough detail of this experiment. But this was part of Republic Services 2019 work plan, because of course it was, it was originally the 2018 work plan and then summarizing it in 2019. So we wanted to make sure and get that here before the end of the year, number one. And then we are talking about future curbside organics, which hopefully will have the infrastructure in place 2021 or 2022, and how this would help us implement the program. And then for maybe a 2020 work plan, talk about a pilot project maybe. So just putting a seed in there and,
Just dreaming a little bit. just-
yeah. So we're very appreciative for the University of Minnesota and Republic Services
Very much.
assistance on this pilot project, and it seems really well received from the 121 residents that took part in it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a quick question. From your end, did it seem like on a large scale, like thousands of people, that this would still be feasible to do without too much more staff need?
I think for the picking up, the collection piece of it, no, it wouldn't be
Okay.
too much more.
But it
I
would
think
maybe
the
be a whole nother
separating of it is where, so the county is getting involved, and I'm sure you'll hear more tonight, but that'll be where it's really done at.
Okay, were they separated like per truck?
That, yes.
Yeah, okay, so like the families were all in one truck, so you knew to look for those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just, it seems like a lot, like if, that we have two families in this truck and,
Right, no.
and does it all get dumped together before you guys sort it out? or-
Right. So for us, it was easy
just
to
picked
be a
up
part of
normal.
it. because we were able just to pick it up and go and deliver it to them.
Okay.
And they did all the sorting. They did the heavy lifting.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting to see what the county thinks and how they plan on dealing with that at the Recycling and Energy Center once they do have that established or set up. So
Right,
I'm
okay.
really interested to get a tour of it myself once it's up and going.
Cool.
Maybe I'll invite you guys. We can all do it together.
Yeah. It's
There we go,
fun.
Sean. Work plan? Yes.
From your perspective, the co-collection then, if it were to roll out as a full program, the
Yes.
sorting would be done elsewhere, at perhaps the waste-to-energy plant or something like that?
Yes.
So you guys are dumping there and somebody there is doing pulling out those bags?
Right.
Okay, okay, good. Any other questions?
Yeah, just was curious, like, overall impression, was there anything that surprised you, or, that you were kind of going along, you expected it to be one way and it ended up differently?
I think one of the things that we kind of had an expectation of is that a lot of people wouldn't be interested in it. Or they would, and then they would kind of fall off, but it was very well received. I mean, we thought, okay, we'll do it 1 week or maybe 2 weeks, and it'll kind of drop off, but it didn't. I mean, it was we like what we saw.
I kind of wonder if that was an interesting recommendation and summary, that it didn't decrease, like there wasn't an interest in reducing food waste, like it seemed like it,
Right.
kind of crept up over the course of the study, but I wonder if that would taper off at a certain point, and
That kind of goes to what we were expecting,
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe a long-term study or a little bit longer of a study would have shed more light on it. But for us, it was that period of time, and we really didn't see much. It was really interesting.
yeah,
so.
it's just a snapshot. But yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if you, continue going out if
Yeah,
if you see
do it for a
different.
year or what happens.
I was gonna say, how long does it take before you form a habit? You know what I mean? Like
say-
6 weeks, you have to
50
kind
years,
of.
I think.
But you know what I mean? By 6 weeks, that seems like, it's part of your habit at that point.
Yeah, I've had 21 times was
Yeah.
the habit forming,
Yeah,
or
I
like
remember
stat
that.
that I have heard before. So 21 weeks or something. And I don't know if that would mean.
21 days? Nice.
Okay.
So at their home, practicing separating it at home, it's more than just putting it all, tying the bag together and throwing it in the garbage. Thank you.
I have a follow-up question. This, again, may be something better for Benny, but on that same topic, where it appeared that organics, that food waste was increasing over time, how do we know that? Is that just because the organics that are showing up in the organics bag was increasing? Or were they doing a full waste? Were they inspecting all of the waste, not just the organics?
That would probably be better question for Vandy.
Okay.
Unless
So I'd
Sean-
like to know that, just that, like, was it really that there's more food waste, or is it just that the organics was actually capturing more, which would not be a bad thing, that'd be a good thing. But if there is actually more food waste, how do we know that? More explanation on that would be great, if she can give it.
Like if there was more generated, or if they just were better at sorting it?
Right, I'm not understanding how they came to the conclusion that there's more food waste unless they were doing a full waste sort, like everything that was in the truck, and finding more food. Do we know if that's the case?
No, I do not.
Okay.
But you're correct, that could be one way or the other. Are the organics bags more full?
Right.
Or are they finding food waste in the trash?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Follow-up questions there. So with a curbside organics program, there's a lot of different ways to roll that out, which of course we'll be researching and narrowing down over the next few years. But of course, there's an opt-in program where residents could opt in, similar to the yard waste collection. There's citywide, where everyone has to participate. And of course, when you have those economies to scale, it would be less expensive, I'm assuming. And then my question I'm curious about is, now that the county has plans for doing the durable compostable bag, and then you place it in the trash cart, and then it's tipped at the R&E center and separated there. So we're trying to get residents to, save money on their trash cart size by increasing recycling, putting the recycling in a different cart. And now we're saying you're taking those organics out, which would have been in the trash anyway, but you're not really saving on trash cart size because you're putting it back in the trash cart. Or just a thought. But when we rolled out recycling carts back in 2015, boy, that was a huge issue because a lot of people didn't have room in their garage for a second cart, didn't want to manage a second cart. So you can imagine having 3 carts would even be more
Yeah.
cumbersome.
People
costly.
don't like change. That's what it comes down to. It's
People don't like change.
that people don't like change.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I remember as a kid when we got the first bins, right? You put your 3 little bags in it, and we had to separate the plastics by the numbers, right? Everybody hated it. It was a pain in the butt. I remember seeing the commercials of the guy on TV walking his down to the driveway going, "Do I actually make a difference?" And then he sets it down, and the camera pans away and shows everybody in the neighborhood's doing it. And it's just like, yes, we do. Like, it's just education and time because people just don't like change.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm depressing. Yeah, that's just it.
Is that it
Like, I remember
nowadays?
as a kid too, we had like the can crusher thing in our garage because people would do that. You'd crush the cans because you got to fit it all into the little grocery bag. And now we got these gigantic things. Like, it's just, people don't like change. It just
Yeah.
takes time and education.
It does seem like the co-collection is an advantage because A, you're eliminating a cart, and B, we're reducing the truck traffic. Because if you do separate collection, then we're going to increase our truck traffic by 50%. So it does seem, that actually, and then that's not a big change, right? All you have to do is put it in a bag.
True.
Put your meat waste or whatever in a bag. The other consideration I'm all for citywide, but one consideration would be, some of us compost already, and like, we compost everything that we can. We don't compost meat because we don't have a meat composter. So we would still use organics for meat waste, but that'd be about it. Everything else we'd use. So I think just sort of anticipating that also, and encouraging composting because we get free dirt, for our garden. So I think that's a positive thing.
It would be a nice, it would be a nice conversation along with the organics. If you don't want to do composting in your own yard, here's a way you can still do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you're still composting, just
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Right. Yep.
Awesome. All right. I
Yeah.
think that's all we have for you. Thank you very much.
All right,
This is
well,
a good
thank you
study.
so much.
Thank you.
Good information. All right. Update on the Maplewood Organics drop-off site and future curbside organics recycling collection. I think that's technically a separate item there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I put these two together because they're both Ramsey County programs. So on the screen here, I want to show you a picture. It's a pretty picture of our new organics recycling center right here in front of the Maplewood Community Center along White Bear Avenue, very visible. It's in an enclosure, and this has to do with Ramsey County, their new program to offer organics drop-off sites at various satellite areas. So currently, Ramsey County offers residential organics drop-off at their yard waste sites, and they are expanding that program by partnering with cities to install satellite organics recycling collection sites throughout the county. So Maplewood's organics collection site is located next to the Maplewood Community Center, YMCA, in the parking lot along White Bear Avenue. It consists of a fenced-in enclosure with 2 organics recycling dumpsters inside. The county contracts with a hauler to collect and process the organics material into compost. The site opened in September 2009 and is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for all Ramsey County residents. And I wanted to show you this handy little Organics Recycling Starter Kit. Check this out. If you could zoom in on that. So Ramsey County is offering these free organic starter kits while supplies last. The kits include a small kitchen caddy, compostable bags, and also tips for success. So you open it up and there's some goodies in here. Little starter kit. So these are free, and we have them available at Maplewood City Hall, and I believe you can also find them at Ramsey County Library.
You can
And we
find
have a
them
few
at
down at the Nature Center as well.
They're
Where at City Hall would somebody find them?
So in the lobby, just ask the receptionist.
they're usually available too at the Ramsey County compost site.
Very good. Yes.
I have one in each bathroom.
That's so clever. She has one in each bathroom, she said. With this, additional compost bags can be picked up at the organics collection site within a bag dispenser or at City Hall, or again at the yard waste sites. To use our organics site, residents fill up the compostable bags with food scraps and bring it to the collection site for free disposal. And there's a list of acceptable items. We advertised this article in the Maplewood Living, but you can find the full list at Ramsey Recycles. So that's an exciting new steps towards organics collection here. So again, at first, they were accepting it at their yard waste sites, which wasn't very convenient for Maplewood residents because the closest is in St. Paul. And then now we have one right here on our doorstep. So very, very convenient. So I wanted to update you on that. And then secondly, let you know about the future curbside organics recycling collection proposed by Ramsey County, the infrastructure that will be in place. So the Resource and Energy Board is in the preliminary stages of establishing a food waste or organics collection program for households at curbside in both counties, for Washington and Ramsey County. The collection would be done using durable compostable bags placed in trash carts and sorted out after collection. The material will then be composted or used in privately owned anaerobic digesters. So they're still working on all those details. The infrastructure to allow for this service is scheduled to be in place by the spring of 2021, was the last I had heard. I did include a fact sheet for you with your staff report that came from the R&E board. Curbside organics recycling collection details and pricings are not included in the new 2020 and 2025 trash hauling contract with Republic Services that the City Council just approved, as of course those details were not available during our negotiations. But once that infrastructure is in place, the city will coordinate with Republic Services to roll out the program in Maplewood. And I have invited Filson Ibrahim, and I apologize if I mispronounce that, first time meeting Filson. She is the new environmental health specialist, and she will be working with all the cities on coordinating recycling. So she's going to be a great point of contact for the city. She's been with Ramsey County now for 2 months. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to invite Filson to our meeting here, to get to know her. Maybe she could give us an update on the future infrastructure of organics and any other insightful things you'd like to share with us. So with that, I'd like to introduce Filson.
Great. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Sean, for a very warm welcome, council members. It's wonderful being here. So the yard waste compost site is a project within Ramsey County, and our goal is to have each resident in Ramsey County to be 10 minutes away from a compost site. Just this year, I think we've doubled the sites that we service from 7 to 14. Our goal is to have people kind of be hip to using compost and organics, and have that be up in their forefront, making sure that that is a resource available to them, and having them be in a habit of not just throwing away their food scraps or their food, and really going that extra mile to use the organic sites. And so I think the question that you had earlier, how with the 30% food waste in the trash, I think that is a general composition of trash, that 30% of our 30% of food scraps and food is in our trash systems. And I think that is what we're trying to take out of the trash, and have that resource kind of go to something else that's useful and not just be landfilled. So that's what we're working towards. The enclosure that just went up has only been there since September, so almost a month. Good news, you guys are doing really good. Low contamination, a lot of folks are using it. Yeah, really, all A's from our end, to you guys. And with the compostable bags, our goal is to have something in place in the upcoming years. And timelines might change. I know Sean mentioned that early 2021 is what we're kind of going for, but the infrastructure of the new system that we're trying to build out isn't built out yet. So we have to, as a county and the R&E Center, a lot of it has to be built. The anaerobic digester that you mentioned, all that has to be built and financed and in place before we can actually roll out the services. So a lot of it is just a lot of groundwork in making sure that the resources that we're trying to offer to the residents can be available. So the timeline might change, but our goal is to have that possible to all Ramsey County residents, hopefully in a couple of years.
Wow.
That's a very vague answer, but that's the best I have for you. Yes. Yeah.
Good progress.
Yes, so far so
It's good to have a
good.
goal, even if we change it, but to get there is good.
Yes, we're definitely working towards it. A lot of intelligent people are pushing our waste system to a different direction, which is beautiful and wonderful to be a part of.
Good. Great.
Yeah. Any questions?
I was curious, that 10 minutes from any resident, I think that makes it a lot easier to do the drop-off. I was curious, like, the shape of Maplewood is odd in a lot of ways, and so are there any locations in St. Paul that are similar to what we have set up in the community center parking lot that might be closer to residents of South Maplewood or even the middle? For example, this meeting is the first time I've been up this direction since our August meeting. I kind of stay in my 94 corridor down there. So curious if there's anything closer down there. How would we find out, not just me, but how would people find out what location is closest to them?
If you Google food scraps Ramsey County,
Okay.
we have a map of all of our sites that are in Ramsey County and what time they're open and what did they take and all
Okay.
the important information. So you could definitely do that. I'm trying to think which one is really close. Yeah, I think if you do that, all that information should come up. Woodbury? They don't. Yeah. But we are working with a lot of other cities. You guys are kind of ahead of the curve to have that resource be available to all the cities. And St. Paul, a lot of space in St. Paul is kind of spoken for. So it's very hard to have a new enclosure or new space to kind of provide that without running into a lot of barriers. But a lot of the folks in the yard waste department, they're kind of working on that to make that happen.
There's one at Battle Creek. That close to
Hey.
Marina?
In the Afton
We're looking it
area.
up right now.
Yeah, that's
Okay. There you go.
It's pretty
Any other,
close.
any other questions?
This is good.
Mr. Chair, if I may, so Filson will be working on the SCORE, the grant that the city receives for our recycling program. And I'm wondering, will you work on the organics piece, Filson, in your position?
Yes, with the SCORE funding, each city gets 2 incentives to kind of use their funding for. And organics is one of those fundings. So if you guys apply for that, I think that, or if any city applies for it, that's a way for the city to use that funding. Yeah, so that's a possibility. I know you guys did with this enclosure. Great job.
So I'm not sure this commission's fully informed on the SCORE grant, but the city of Maplewood applies for the grant yearly, and the grant is offered to us based on per capita to help us with our recycling program. And last year, or this year, was the first year that the county offered then incentives to earn additional money. So if we implemented the organics drop-off site, and then another thing was if we increased our business and church recycling program, we would earn that additional funding. So we have done both this year, so good job.
Nice job.
Nicely done.
And so we'll bring the SCORE grant to our city council during their next meeting and then apply for that. But we'll give you an update on that when we bring our recycler and trash haulers before you for an annual review.
This is a handy, I just looked up the map. You just touch on mobile, just touch the button and tells you the address, the site location, name. So pretty handy.
Very handy dandy.
Excellent.
The
Thank-
only thing that I would like to add is with low contamination, a lot of residents have a habit of adding their organics in plastic bags, thinking that, hey, it's a plastic bag, it's fine. It's not.
Not a good idea.
We get that a lot. A lot of folks are like, oh, Target bag, I could just put my food scraps and then just take it to the site. Yeah, you can't do that. It has to be in a compostable bag, so all that could disintegrate and kind of go back to the earth.
Hence the starter kit. That's a handy dandy.
Yes.
And I'm
Mhm.
assuming in there's instructions on how somebody can go buy more of those bags so that
Yep.
they,
Yeah, and we do at the site, we do have a dispenser that has the
Oh,
smaller
great.
bags, but if you do run out, I think you can get more at the city council. And then, they're willing to give you more.
So it does have to be bagged, like you couldn't use that plastic tub and tip it into
You could
a dumpster?
do that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's easier
Very
and less
messy.
messier if you just bag it, and then you could just, all the juices and everything kind of is just
Yeah.
contained.
So if they had a Target bag, they could open the Target bag and dump it in?
Yep.
Dump it, okay.
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
Easier to do the compostable
You could
bag,
definitely
though.
do that, yeah.
Okay.
And compostable bags are super easy to
Yeah.
find online. You could order
think-
a bunch.
Cub or Target? Because I know I've bought some. I just can't remember if it was from Cub or Target.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Maybe it was
over-
Menards. No, it was Menards. That's where I got them. It was from Menards.
That's
Menards
good to
does
know.
sell them.
I just order mine online, but that's good to know. You can get it from a store. But don't overdo it. Don't order bags like a year in advance because they kind of sometimes disintegrate. So 6 months, maybe 3 months.
And right now, Ramsey County is offering those for free at the yard waste sites, at the drop-off sites. There's a little container out there, you can just dispense them out, and then also at City Hall here. So they're free right now.
There's actually
Yes.
2 sizes at the Ramsey County site. There's like a large kitchen bag size and then the smaller one that's fit in the green
Yep.
tub.
Thank you, yes.
So I had a question, if residents could also put it in a paper bag, and then just put the paper bag in
Mm-hmm.
the container?
Yeah, that happens a lot, and that's super,
Because, of course, the paper bag can be composted.
yep,
Yeah.
just goes back. Mm-hmm. Could definitely do that.
paper, not plastic.
Not plastic, definitely not
Not
plastic.
plastic.
Awesome. Any other questions for our guest? Thank you very much for coming, and congratulations on being at Ramsey County for a
Thank
couple of
you.
months. It's good.
Thank you, thank
And
you.
you're welcome back anytime, so thank you.
Thank you. It's wonderful being here.
Thank you.
All right, next item, update on the Maplewood trash and recycling contracts.
Thank you.
Very dramatic pause, I like that.
So it's going for. I put together a short presentation to outline all of the new exciting components to our trash and recycling program here. So I am going to get that presentation up here for you. Another dramatic pause. Okay, here we are. So the city's residential recycling and trash hauling contracts end December 31st of this year. The city council did authorize the execution of the recycling and trash hauling contract on September 9th, 2019, after a competitive bidding process. And those contracts went to Tennis Sanitation for recycling once again, and Republic Service for our trash hauling. So I outlined in your staff report the process that we took to get to this, and I want to thank Commissioner Palzer and Sin for sitting on the, what did we call it? The Proposal Review Committee, and, pardon me, and Commissioner Miller. I apologize. Because that was a lot of work, a lot of reading, and a couple meetings, and a lot of real in-depth discussion to come to a conclusion and recommendation for the council that we presented in September. And they appreciated all your work and effort as well. On that proposal review committee were also members of staff, city council, and we based our review on 6 criteria in the weights, which included economics, environmental, responsiveness, qualifications, safety, and education. So with that, we now have contracts in place. And I wanted to outline those for you so you knew what to expect and how we can, work with our contracted haulers to continue to make improvements to our program. So the recycling contract, which is a 5.5-year contract beginning January 2020 to June of 2025, and we did that purposely so that in 2025 we don't find ourselves rolling out a new contract and possibly new carts or whatever may come of it in the middle of winter, It's always rather difficult. So we did a 5.5-year contract. We'll continue with the cart size options of 35, 65, or 95. When we initially rolled out the recycling carts back in 2025, everyone got a 65-gallon cart. But since that time, Tennis has been working with the city and offering up any size that a resident wants. So if you currently have a 65-gallon and want to switch that to something larger, feel free to do so. Give Tennis a call and they'll switch that out. And the cost is the exact same as any of the other sizes. The recycling will continue to be collected on one of the city's 5-day certain collection routes. In that request for proposal, we were looking for some innovative approaches to reducing the routes to a 4-day, but we found that there just wasn't the efficiencies there that we thought there would be, so we'll continue with that 5-day route. Tennis Sanitation currently bills the city, so that will continue, and the city will add the recycling fee onto the residents' water bill. We were looking at the opportunity to have the hauler do the billing if we had a combined contract, but since it's continued with the separate contract, we will just continue as status quo with that recycling rate being added to the residents' water bill. And currently, Tennis collects recycling at all city facilities and parks, and that'll continue at no charge to the city. We'll continue with the small business and church opting into the recycling program at the same rate as the residential recycling. However, we are adding an additional option for the small businesses and churches. They can utilize a recycling dumpster, and Tennis will collect that at a rate of $45 per month for the term of the contract. Because, there's some companies that generate like a lot of boxes and so forth that just wouldn't be able to utilize the current program with the recycling carts. They'll continue to do the monthly and annual reports and the yearly work plan, so we'll see them here before us in February or March. They'll continue to work with the city and our trash hauling contractor to create the annual flyer, and then they'll continue to use education tags. So if you put something that shouldn't be in your recycling and they see that, they'll place that education tag on your cart, letting you know that you could contaminate the recyclables by putting that in there. Liquidated damages, that's something that we did look at closely just to ensure we were capturing all the incidents that we could, and then having more of an escalation procedure so it wasn't just, $500 fine. It was, a slow process to get to that point. Not that we've had issues, but just ensuring that in our contract we had that language spelt out. And then the meat of the matter, the cost. So the city of Maplewood has had some very low recycling rates over the last few years. Since Tennis took over the recycling here in 2000, I think it was 11. So it's been consistently low. And so we did do this competitive bidding, so we know that we're receiving competitive pricing here. But nonetheless, residents will see an increase in rates. And what Tennis had proposed in their proposal was two options: contractor-supplied cart pricing versus city-supplied cart. And you know that Tennis currently has the carts out there on the streets. The request for proposal outlined the city actually owning the carts. So this was, a bit of a surprise submittal to see that the carts would the rates would be more expensive with city-supplied carts. So you'll see the rates that Tennis will charge us from 2020 to 2025 for contractor supplied is $4, and then increasing to $5.25. And then for the city supplied, it's $4.40 or $4.50 to that $5.75. And that difference in that 10 cents is in the contract. Tennis had agreed to reduce the pricing if the city did purchase carts and did go with their preferred cart manufacturer. So what does this mean really to the residents? So we did a comparison of the 2019, the current rates. So Tennis charges the cities $2.86 per household per month. And then the city calculates in all the needs for the recycling program, which could include staffing, materials, things of that nature, and factors that in and charges the resident $3.54 per household per month. So you see that on your water bill. And I understand that they bill quarterly, so that's probably about $10 some cents every quarter. And then in 2020, what we'll see is Tennis increasing that fee to the city at $4, again for the contractor supplied, or $4.50 if the city did purchase recycling carts. And then we're currently calculating what that will mean to the residents. On October 28th, we will be bringing to the council a recycling cart purchase analysis so that they can see the exact details of what it will do to the recycling rates if we do purchase carts. So this just kind of gives you an overview of the number of carts we'd have to purchase, the sizes, the cost, outlines the Ramsey County Recycling Cart Grant, which currently is 50% of the cost of the carts, freight, and delivery. So the total cost to the city, which would be approximately $300,500. Then we have to calculate in this cart reserve, because in 10 years from now, we have to replace the carts unless they last longer than the warranty, the 10-year warranty. And there's, residual carts that go missing and things like that you have to replace over the years. So based on that analysis, and again, that hasn't been finalized and it will go to the council on the 28th, we do find that purchasing the carts we'd have an estimated 90% increase in recycling rates for year one, and then a 5% thereafter. So that's a huge increase. And then with the contractor supplied, because of course they were offering us reduced pricing for that, the estimate is a 25% increase in recycling for year one, 20% for year 2 and 3, and then 5% thereafter. So I wanted to outline that for you and let you know that that's something that the city council will be reviewing at their next meeting. And then, of course, we will outline the cart issues to consider, which are the benefits, future contract pricing. If the city does own their own carts, usually you would see better pricing because a contractor doesn't have to come in and roll out all of the carts, purchase those carts and build that pricing into the contract. Now, that didn't pay off for us in this round because, of course, the hauler already has the carts out there. But feasibly, you would see that reduced pricing in future contracts. The aesthetics, having standardized carts throughout. City can do its own education and branding on the carts. Having that ownership, since the city of Maplewood already owns the trash carts, we'd have an additional 10-year warranty. And of course, the big issue is the Ramsey County grant. Will those funds be available in the future if we didn't utilize them now? It could help us with our future pay-as-you-throw. We're trying to get residents to reduce the size of their trash cart with future variations in the trash cart sizes that we'll be working with our trash hauler on. So, if we have control over those carts, increasing the cart sizes would help that pay-as-you-throw. And then it's easier to switch new contracts when you own the carts. And then, of course, currently, one of the cons of the city-owned carts would be that recycling contract will be more expensive this go-around. So I'll stop there before I go on to the trash hauling outline, if you have any questions.
I've got one off the top. Can you explain a little bit more? Why is it, I think I understand, but why are they charging more if we provide the carts?
Because they
We
have
did
to
ask
pick
that.
them up.
We did ask that question, and they indicate that because of the cart management, they believe that they'd have to hire a full-time staff member to manage that. Currently, tennis, well, they hadn't done cart management for a city. Of course, they manage their own carts. But I understand that they did just take on North St. Paul's contract and will be managing those carts. But that was their reasoning. Perhaps Commissioner Miller or Paulzer have additional insights into that?
I think that they were also saying that then they wouldn't have to go get them all. That was, they're already out there, they don't have to roll them out again, so that's a cost that they wouldn't have to have again, because they're already all rolled out, which there was some controversy.
I would say that they didn't provide a lot of specifics on the cost and the reasoning behind it. It seemed a bit arbitrary to me because there wasn't any reasoning behind it, and just historically knowing when we moved to carts so that would have been like 2014 or 2015, I think, when we were discussing that before, that they really wanted to use their own carts, and this commission really wanted city-owned carts at that time, and they had to take out financing, as far as purchasing those, within the company and stuff like that. So I think that there was some residual wanting to protect their assets to that, though there weren't any specifics of why that cost would be increasing over 5 years. To me, I didn't see that in there, but it was a proposal process where they could propose what they wanted, and they did.
Perhaps there's an advertising value.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, for their branding, the orange lid and brown card out there, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Moving on to the trash contract. So this will be a 5.5-year contract as well. It will run along the same timeline, ending June 2025. We'll continue with the city-owned carts. And those size options will remain 20, 35, 65, or 95-gallon trash carts. And then the yard waste carts, those will increase in size. So currently, anyone who opts into the yard waste program gets a 65-gallon cart, so now they'll get a 95-gallon cart. So that's an added value. We'll continue with trash collection 5 days a week, and then that yard waste will be carried out from April through November. Republic Services will continue to do the billing. Let's see. Oh, and this is something new. There'll be no charge for trash and organic collection at city facilities. When we had organized our trash hauling back in 2011, the city had a contract with another hauler for our city facilities, so we couldn't negotiate that into the contract. So this will be a nice added value to the city. Right now, we go out once a year to get proposals on pricing for that. And then, managing that bill and making, all of that adds time. So this will be a real added value. Monthly and annual reports will continue, yearly work plan, and then same with recycling. They'll work with us on the annual flyer and then continue to do their own education tags at the carts. Again, similar to the recycling, we added some liquidated damages, including billing with incident escalation procedures. The spring cleanup, another added value. We'll work with Republic Services exclusively on our spring cleanup rather than going out yearly for proposals on pricing. And so this will be something that'll be included as part of this contract and no charge to the city. The bulky item collection, you'll see a slight increase in that pricing. It'll be ranging from $10 to $35. That's pretty minimal considering currently it's $5 to $30. The fall cleanup campaign, which is going on right now, and that started out as part of Republic Services work plan, and then over the years we kind of had to include it in the work plan and kind of negotiate how it was going to work. Well, now we have a standardized approach where all the items will be 20% discount across the board for the first 4 weeks in October. So that's interesting to see how something you start as a work plan then can eventually end up in your contract. So they're very beneficial. And then the rates. The cost to collect trash at the curb, the rates are separated into 3 parts. Trash collection, which is the cost to collect trash at the curb, for the trucks just to drive by your house and collect it. The trash disposal, once they get to the R&E center, are the counties charging now? And now we have seen an increase in those disposal rates because the county isn't allowing for those trash hauler rebates, which used to be in place. So we're seeing an increase in those disposal rates. So that's something outside of any of the haulers' control. And then taxes and fees, of course, there's that solid waste tax, the county environmental fee, and then we'll continue that cart fee, I think. This hasn't been finalized, but we're still proposing to charge that 75-cent per cart. And that'll be, that original bond that purchased the carts, that has been paid off, but we'll need that additional funding to continue to supply our trash cart supply. So here's how the contract was written. Again, this is the collection rate. So we're going to add all these together. And along with recycling, Maplewood has had historically very low trash hauling rates ever since we organized our trash in 2011. So we will see an increase, and again, some of that is due to that disposal rate that has increased. Again, we did this competitive bidding, so we know that this is the best price that we could get. We did receive 6 proposals, Republic Services being one of them. So you see the trash collection rates for any size cart at $7.40 and then increasing to $9.01 on that last year or half year of the contract. The disposal costs, this is just for next year, we do know those rates currently. And again, this is divided into the various size carts. So you add the collection rate, the disposal costs, and then the taxes and fees. And what we did here was compare today's rate, 2019, to January 1st, 2020 rates. And that includes everything right there. So I think I had calculated maybe about overall like a 30% increase on average. And then something that we had written into the contract was future pay-as-you-throw. Now, we don't have the pricing in place now. It'll be something that we'll look at yearly. And what our intent here is to create lower pricing on the smaller carts to encourage a reduction of waste and increase in recycling. So currently, the rates that we're seeing are about 14 to 17% difference. So it doesn't really encourage you to reduce from a 95 gallon to a 32 because you're only saving $1 or so a month. But the 2020 proposed price increments, as they currently are 10 to 25%, and we'd like to see those on average at least 50%. So the 32-gallon cart is 50% less than a 95-gallon cart. And we'll do that yearly by looking at the disposal rate and recalibrating that so that more of the disposal cost is placed on those 95-gallon carts than the other ones. So the implementation of both these programs, we were on the accelerated track to get this negotiated, and we did it thanks to our proposal review committee and thanks to our haulers for working with us and negotiating the contracts. So we have the contracts in place, and now we will be notifying the residents. We're starting out with some articles in the November Maplewood Review, and then also in December, and then some social media campaign. And then, of course, those contracts begin January 2020. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And then I note that Romac Franklin is still in the room if you had any questions about the trash hauling piece.
Thanks, Sean. I do have one question. I'm a little, I think I'd say I'm a little annoyed about the whole recycling carts, if we provide them. That's assuming the city actually purchases the carts, right? And that would contribute for use by residents.
Correct.
And then we would pay more every year, and that increase we would pay would increase every year, right?
Correct. So the way the contract is currently written, it does have that dual pricing. So if the city does purchase carts any time during the term of the contract, those new rates would go into place.
It feels very counterintuitive and frustrating because I don't buy that they have more operational expense. That doesn't make any sense to me. But that being an aside almost, are the contracts that are on the table have any kind of a stipulation that the carts got to go at the end of the term? That they're responsible to get rid of their carts?
The new contract?
Yeah, or the old one, I suppose, would be handy.
No, there's nothing in the new contract that outlines that.
I would recommend that we put something in there so that if we decide to not purchase carts now and the city wants to have carts purchased, because if we had had that in this past agreement, I would have a hard time believing that they could have to be more expensive. So we just pick the next lowest one and get rid of your carts. So it just seems like the contract ought to have some sort of clarity what has to happen to the carts should another contractor be selected, right?
When we rolled out the recycling carts, again in 2014 or 15, that process was a little, what's the word? Difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had a contract in place when we were collecting recyclables in the bins, And then, again, it was written in there, if we ever went with city purchased versus contractor supplied carts, here's the new pricing. So then it came time to, okay, we're ready for the carts. And we were actually the first city to apply for the public entities grant to allow the 50% cost of the carts. And I think that's how they kind of created the program, because we said, can we use this money, which originally was intended for like recycling carts in your city facilities, things like that. At any rate, in the end, the city council at that time opted to go with contractor carts, even though the pricing back then was more. But a lot of that had to do with the city had just purchased trash carts and, taken out that utility bond to cover the cost of that. So there was a lot of variables there. But when we rolled out the carts, we did do a memorandum of understanding that within there, it says if the city does ever convert, that you would then collect your carts. So I guess it is in that memorandum of understanding from when they originally rolled out.
So their current bid should not be including any expenses for collecting their carts then?
Well, and they didn't itemize, within the proposal, they didn't itemize what their operational costs were. They didn't have to either, but certainly the rates that they were proposing were much lower than the other proposals that we saw. I don't know, I felt like I learned a lot through the proposal review process, just in terms of the economics of recycling anymore, and like why we're seeing those costs increase quite a bit. And so I think that that's probably built into that, like there naturally would be a price increase, but from the marketing standpoint, of tennis, they want to kind of be like, well, use ours, like we'll keep it at this, that there's, and as a small company, they can do that too, that, like I said, we didn't ask for the itemization in those proposals. So I think it was kind of a combination of both things, that it's not specifically for where they're saying, okay, it's 14 cents per cart that we pick up times this many households. Like we
just a
never saw
number.
any figures or any figuring as to the reasoning behind those. But there was maybe just some qualitative, like within a paragraph, kind of, this is why we're doing this. We believe that it would require more staff time to manage the city-owned carts. We'd have to hire a whole, an additional full-time employee, et cetera, but.
Okay. Job creation. So is their bid using city carts still cheaper than any other next bid? All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's annoying, but okay. All right, good. Any other questions? I have more. So I just have, on the trash costs, you'd commented that trying to kind of navigate the cost increases such that the oh, okay, now I see what I'm doing. Okay, so that the smaller trash containers have a less expensive increase, less increase than the larger units. Okay, and I just realized that I was looking at the 20-gallon every other week and thinking that was the smallest, so we're essentially there. I mean, the 20-gallon a week is still 139% increase versus 132% increase, but it looks like it's trying to aim in that direction, so never mind, I answered my own question.
It is difficult for the city to roll out a pay-as-you-throw methodology when it's the contractor that's doing the billing. Now, there's a lot of successful programs where the city's doing the billing and can, adjust those prices as needed. But when the contractor's doing the billing and, of course, wants to remain whole, how do you do that? So this is a bit of a test case. And we were able to negotiate it because we agreed that we wouldn't touch that collection cost, because that's what the contractor would take in. So it's just that pass-through, the disposal cost, that will adjust one way or the other to get at the pay-as-you-throw.
Yeah, it's aiming in the right direction. It's still not quite incentivizing on a per gallon cost, but it's aiming in the right direction, so it's a good step forward.
I've got a question, maybe getting a little bit ahead of things too, but Sean, you had put up the slide about the timeline and sort of the public awareness around this. And I think, being that our neighbors in St. Paul are going through quite a bit of a kerfuffle and process with their organized trash hauling, I'm assuming that it is part of the PR campaign, that we have where, it's kind of transparent as far as we had this great deal, it's the same hauler, but these are the costs that are associated with that people in Maplewood are going to be seeing an increase when we haven't for a while, but, that we're separate from St. Paul's issues that are going on as well. So I assume that city PR and marketing staff have a little bit of
That is a challenge.
Yeah.
Especially since we're releasing this information right as they have their referendum.
Yeah. Just, it is what it is, but I'm sure that PR folks have ways to spin or just to, explain that in a clear way so that it's for people who are interested in looking and researching that the information is there.
Yes, and I'll make sure and work with, we do have a communications department now, so
Yes.
they're very knowledgeable at these things, and I'll make sure and express your concerns as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it just that I think, I don't know, we've chatted before about the Nextdoor app, this service where you kind of join this little social media thing and, being that in Maplewood, we're up against a number of other locations. St. Paul is actually one of my neighborhood groups, and man, people are up in arms about that. So, I think it's sometimes important to, yes, we are in the same county, but we're not the same city, and that there's differences. And
I know our environmental commission had talked about working with our communications department in the past, so maybe this would be a good opportunity. You could all be on a video
Awesome.
promoting our trash and recycling.
That's perfect.
We are not St. Paul.
the what?
The what?
Maybe a big light bulb lightning.
A big light bulb? Yes. No, you'll have to be the big trash can in this one.
Awesome. So and for the trash hauling, the city owns the carts, correct? So just a hypothetical question. Let's just say that I was looking out my window last week when my garbage was collected and the garbage can got crushed when they put it back down. What would a person do about that to get the can replaced?
Contact Republic Services,
Okay.
and they'll exchange that. We do have warranties on those,
Okay.
10-year warranty. Some can't be warranted if it, but at any rate, they're very efficient at replacing those, so just give them a
Awesome.
call.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Sean? Looks like no. Thank you very much, Sean. Unfinished business, we have none, so we finished that. Visitor presentations, we've kind of had that, unless you want to say anything else. Commissioner presentations, I don't think so. And back at you, staff presentations. First, the Environmental and Natural Resources Commissioner appointments, oral report. You have to do it as Darth Vader, though.
Yes, I wanted to update you
Or
on the appointments here. So congratulations, Commissioners Redmond, Palzer, and Okeson. You have been reappointed to a 3-year term. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your continued support of the City of Maplewood's environmental initiatives. And then, as you know, Tom Sin had resigned from the commission, moving out of Maplewood.
You guys want to do one more?
So we have one vacancy. And then I wanted to update you on Commissioner Gould, who had a great opportunity to go to Bemidji and fill in as a professor up there for the rest of the term. So he has asked for a leave of absence until May of next year. But he wanted to express his, appreciation for being on the commission and wanted to continue if he could, so we've allowed for that leave of absence. So that's the Environmental Natural Resources Commission appointments. And one last thing. They will be interviewing for that one vacancy during their next meeting, and I understand there's 2 applicants.
Next meeting being in November
October
then?
28th.
Oh, October
Excuse me,
28th, yeah,
yes.
okay. So for our very next meeting, we should actually have another commissioner?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with how the leave of absence process works, but is there a precedent for having a very short term of service? If, for example, it would be nice to have a full 7 people on our commission until that, through the end of May, if there was just a very short-term assignment. Because I think, some of us came on the commission and, maybe just we were taking over for someone else's term that had just a year or 2 or something like that. Subleasing. Yeah, subletting. So can you sublet your commission term? But, if we had outstanding applicants, for example,
We don't have anything in our commission policy handbook on leave of absence or like the number of meetings you have to attend, so it was a little bit of a gray area. Since I've been staff liaison to this commission, we had one commissioner who took a leave, so I just kind of used that as an example. It was only for a couple months, similar to this. So would someone be interested in serving just until May? I'm not sure, but I can certainly look into that.
Just in the interest of having a full commission and different voices represented, I think that would be good if it's clear that the understanding is that it's
The 6-month
covering
gig
a
or whatever.
leave, with certainly the opportunity down the road as, commissioners change and stuff like that there may be future opportunities as well.
Yeah, and I think it would have to be one of the existing applicants because, by the time you advertise and so forth and get them before the council, you're already 3 months in.
Yeah.
So the feasibility of maybe one of the commissioners, or excuse me, people that are applying. So I'll look at that opportunity.
Yeah. Just an idea.
If they're more qualified than me, they can have my spot.
Stop it.
Sublease.
Qualified.
You've
back
got,
on.
you've got a lot of good qualities, Commissioner Okeson. You know that. That's why you were reappointed.
That's right. All right, fall cleanup?
Yes, I wanted to remind you, let's see, I have a fancy little visual here for you. Somewhere. Here we go. Here we go. So right now, we are holding our annual fall cleanup campaign with Republic Services. So they are offering reduced price bulky item collection during the first 4 full weeks in October. So it'll be from October 7th until November 1st. So all residents that have curbside trash collection are eligible to schedule bulky collection during the event. And then we also open it up to residents that don't have that have not opted into the organized trash, which are some townhomes and manufacturing homes. So they can do this by calling Republic Services and prepaying via credit card rather than having it placed on their bill. So you can see the rates here, which represent, I would say, I calculated, 10 to 25% reduction over the contracted rates. And again, this is getting at it'll be nice next year when we know it's all going to be just 20%. And every year I don't have to negotiate with them on this pricing. But it's still a good deal. So to schedule that, give Republic Services a call at 455-8634. And then again, with the fall cleanup campaign, one of our goals here is to promote recycling as an option. So if you do have an item and you're wondering what to do with it, how to recycle it, reuse it, or even dispose of it correctly, you can also go on to ramseyrecycles.com and you just plug in, the name of the item that you want to get rid of, like shredded paper or whatever. And it will come up with a whole list of options for you. So it's a great resource out there. So take advantage of your bulky item disposal during our fall cleanup campaign. That's it. And then I wanted to move on to the Maplewood Nature Center programs. And I did distribute those to our Environmental Commission because, gosh darn it, you guys are so good at it. So we like to announce our Nature Center programs because, of course, they are our partner in environmental education. And we like to spotlight some of the programs that are coming up for the next month. So we'll start here with Terrific Turtles.
That's neat. Terrific Turtles. This program is Saturday, November 2nd from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It's an all-ages program. You can prepay the $5 per person rate by Thursday, October 31st. Bring the kids over to meet some cool live turtles native to Minnesota habitats. Interact with snapping turtles, painted turtles, and more. Turtles brought to you by Emily of Snake Discovery, and I'm assuming that's Emily pictured there. She looks very excited to share the turtles with you. Pretend to be a turtle and make a turtle craft. Join the naturalists to look for wild turtles from our boardwalk. This is held at the Maplewood Nature Center at 2659 East 7th Street. Register online at www.maplewoodnaturecenter.com and click on the Register Online Go button, or you can call 651-249-2170. This is activity number 16547.
All right. ECFE, Early Childhood Family Education, Nature Family Fun, Wiggly Snake and Slippery Salamander. Time, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on November 9th, which is my birthday, 2019. It's perfect for my birthday, for sure. Make nature discoveries, get resources to explore, and protect your world together. Meet new friends. This class is offered at the Maplewood Nature Center in collaboration with Early Childhood and Family Education, 622 staff. I'm assuming that's ISD 622, possibly. Location is at the Maplewood Nature Center, 2659 East 7th Street. Phone number is 651-249-2170. The fee is $5 per child per class. Pre-registration required. To register online, go to www.maplewoodnaturecenter.com and click the Register Online button or call 651-249-2170.
Woodland spoon carving, ages 18 plus. It's Saturday, November 9th, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Maplewood Nature Center, 2659 East 7th Street. Get the scoop on trees that grow in Minnesota that are good for carving. Take a short tree ID walk outside with the naturalist. Learn how to carve a spoon from a fresh-cut native tree. Learn Sloyd-style carving. Includes tool rental, materials, a finishing kit, and safety glove rental. Spoon carving instruction and materials by Jess Hirsch of Women's Woodshop. Fee is $65 per person. Register by November 6th. Register at maplewoodnaturecenter.com and click on Register Online Go button or call 651-249-2170. Activity number 16549.
Walk when the moon is full, Tuesday, November 12th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. for ages 7 and up with an adult. Small Scout troops are welcome. Hike by the light of the moon. Learn fun facts about the moon. Enjoy moon shadows of the trees and breathe the brisk air. Learn some fun facts about the 50th anniversary of the Apollo landing. Dress for the weather. Fee is $4 per person. Register online by Sunday, November 10th at the MaplewoodNatureCenter.com. Activity registration number 16158. Live animals! Free for all ages. Saturday, November 16th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Register by Friday, November 15th. Meet a snake, toad, or salamander. Learn where Minnesota's wild reptiles and amphibians go in the winter. Do you mean they don't fly south? You can share your stories about real wild animal encounters if you choose. Try a wild animal craft to take home at the Maplewood Nature Center. Register at MaplewoodNatureCenter.com. Activity number 16537 and 16550. It's probably just the 16550. I have a feeling the 537 was for October. No, I have another one. It's the bomb. I can just read it if you don't want to put it up there. I can if you want. You want me to go?
Okay, take it away.
Here we go. See, it doesn't work though, because they're not going to see it. See, it's not going to work. Just, I'll do a second one for you. Right? It's the bomb! Saturday, November 23rd from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. $8 per person. Make and take a scented bath bomb using simple, environmentally friendly ingredients. Bring home 2 bombs, a recipe, handouts, and a mold. Wear old clothes. Bring an ice cream bucket or large bowl, large stirring spoon, and a Ziploc bag to transport your creations home. At the Maplewood Nature Center at 2659 East 7th Street, Maplewood, Minnesota 55119. Prepay by Wednesday, November 20th. Register at www.maplewoodnaturecenter.com and click on the registration online go button or call 651-249-2170. Activity number 16551.
And on that awesome note, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.